The Tri-City Business Summit, my wife asked me to attend with her. At the reception, my wife arrived in formal attire, arm in arm with her assistant, but made me sit at a table with the cafeteria lady. Just as I was about to go over and confront them, the assistant publicly mocked me. "Liam Sterling, you're just a kept man and a loser. What makes you think you have the right to sit next to Ms. Miller?" I smiled slightly at him, then turned to Sarah Miller standing nearby. "You think I don't have that right, either, don't you?" At this moment, everyone at the table's eyes were on me. Sarah Miller hadn't expected me to disrespect her in front of so many people, and she glared at me, her face furious. "Liam Sterling, what kind of stunt are you pulling now? This is a business networking event. If you want to argue, take it outside. Don't make a fool of me here." I just smiled and stared at her dismissively. "Sarah Miller, you think me sitting next to you would embarrass you, don't you?" The next second, Sarah Miller slammed the table, pointing at my nose and yelling curses. "Yes, I do think sitting with you is embarrassing. What about it? While you are my husband in name, the truth is, there's no love between us whatsoever. As far as the Millers are concerned, you're just a dog I keep." By the end, she was standing up completely, spitting right in my face. I took a wet wipe and wiped my face, my smile still in place. "Then I don't get it. If you hate me so much, why did you insist I come to this damn networking event? Did Ms. Miller just want to insult me?" Honestly, I was puzzled too. Usually, she finds me in the way and embarrassing. She doesn't even let me come to the company. But today, for such an important occasion, Sarah Miller insisted I come along. There must be something going on. As soon as I finished speaking, Mark Jenkins, the assistant who took my seat, also stood up. "Mr. Lin, they say you're stupid, and you really are. You can't even figure out something this simple?" Of course, it's because, before Mark Jenkins could finish, Sarah Miller quickly raised a hand to cut him off. "Mark, let's just eat. Why bother with someone like him? Even if you tell him why, what difference would it make? He'd still be idle all day, doing nothing useful, just like before, completely unaware of his own shortcomings. I knew I shouldn't have agreed to my father forced me to marry you back then. What bad luck." Sarah Miller's words completely stunned me. The hidden big boss of the company, what else would I need to do? Would I be sitting around in the office drinking coffee all day like her? Seeing my silence, Sarah Miller thought she had hit a nerve and looked smug. "What? Hit a sore spot, did I? Lost your courage to speak? Liam Sterling, you better straighten up, or I swear I'll fire you right now." I sneered, my eyes fixed on her. "Sarah Miller, judging by what you're saying, I'm redundant at the company, aren't I?" I had originally thought today was the annual industry conference, an event the Millers had finally managed to get an invitation to, and I didn't want to make things awkward for everyone and have the whole Riverwood find out about this petty squabble. But I don't know what got into that crazy woman today. She just kept hounding me. If she just cursed me once or twice, fine, I would have just dismissed it as nonsense. But I never expected her to use her position to pressure me now. That I absolutely could not tolerate. Who do the Millers owe their current status to? Doesn't she have any clue? You're absolutely right. Keeping a good-for-nothing like you at my company is just a waste of resources. I smiled and shook my head. Sarah Miller, calling me idle is one thing, but saying I'm useless to the company? I can't let that stand. You don't actually think you got where you are today all by yourself, do you? Seeing that I not only refused to back down but even dared to talk back, Sarah Miller exploded with rage. "Liam Sterling, open your eyes and take a good look. I, Sarah Miller, am the CEO of Miller Corporation. The company going public wasn't because of me? You think it was because of a good-for-nothing like you?" I nodded seriously. "Exactly. There's nothing wrong with what you just said. The Millers did indeed rise to become one of the 4 pillars of Riverwood business because of me." As soon as I finished speaking, the table erupted. "Kid, you're really full of yourself, aren't you? The Millers are a prominent family in Riverwood. Who do you think you are? Mr. Lee is right. A man his own wife doesn't even respect, how dare he expect to sit with us? I advise you to leave quickly. Everyone here is a respected figure in the business world. We don't welcome kept men here." I rubbed my ears, tuning out their comments. Whether I have the right to sit here isn't for you to decide. The moment I finished speaking, everyone stared at me dumbfounded. Everyone attending the summit today were the top business leaders and investors in Riverwood, and even the Millers had only just received an invitation this year. My words quickly spread throughout the venue. Everyone's attention was now focused on me, their fierce gazes like they wanted to devour me. As more and more people joined in, I was quickly surrounded. Seeing this scene, Mark Jenkins's face split into a wide grin. Everyone, let me make something clear. Although this man is Ms. Miller's husband, he's already been fired by Miller Corporation. You can hit him or curse him, we won't stop you. Hearing the assistant's words, I almost burst out laughing. Mark Jenkins, I suggest you don't be so quick to distance himself from me. Saying that, I suddenly smiled at him. Without me, Miller Corporation will go bankrupt in less than 10 minutes. Do you believe that? As soon as I spoke, Mark Jenkins slammed the table. Liam Sterling, you're dreaming. You, a mere kept man, delusionally think you can bring down the calm. Painey? That's sheer fantasy. I nodded, looking at him calmly. That's the reality of it. If you don't believe me, feel free to try. Mark Jenkins raised an eyebrow and sneered. Try it then. How dare someone who doesn't even know his own limitations act arrogant in front of me? I wasn't angered by his words, instead, I remained composed. Excuse me, but I'm not like you. Liam Sterling never relies on others. At this, the business leaders at the table suddenly changed expression. Oomph, who do we have here acting so high and mighty? Turns out it's just a dog the Millers keep. Exactly. Just a kept man, a kept man. How dare he mock others? He's just inviting humiliation. Every one of us here is worth hundreds of millions, while you probably don't even have $100 on you. I coughed lightly, sweeping my gaze across the room. You're mistaken. I don't look down on others, I look down on every single one of you here. While I may not understand business, at least I know how to conduct myself. From the moment I arrived at the venue until now, these so-called business leaders haven't been discussing how to develop their companies, but rather how to cut corners. One day they're skimping on employee wages, the next they're engaged in tax evasion. With bosses like them, their companies are probably not far from collapsing. At this, I instantly became the target of everyone's attack, even the host couldn't stand it. Sir, this is a business conference. People like you are not welcome here. I slowly looked up at the podium. Oh, what kind of person am I? Tell me. Before the host could even speak, Mark Jenkins rushed onto the stage and snatched the microphone. Liam Sterling, you're just a kept man. The assistant's words boomed through the speakers, reaching every corner of the venue. The business leaders at my table stood up one after another, applauding and watching me gleefully. Even Sarah Miller, who hadn't spoken for a long time, joined in the applause. Eyeing this scene, I finally understood Sarah Miller's true reason for inviting me. But she miscalculated. Setting someone up like this had no effect on me whatsoever. Even if you looked across the entire Riverwood, there wasn't a single person who had the right to look down on me. Seeing my silence, Mark Jenkins thought I chickened out and raised the microphone again. Hey, Mr. Lynn, now do you know why Ms. Miller didn't want to be at the table with you? Mid-sentence, he suddenly grinned and burst out laughing. Because, you're simply not worthy. I watched him coldly, my voice devoid of emotion. Alright, I've played along with your little act long enough. Tell me, what was the real reason you called me here? Mark stared at me with a malicious grin for a long moment before finally speaking. Since you figured it out, I might as well stop pretending. To tell you the truth, Ms. Miller called you here hoping you'd realize your place and stop clinging to the Millers. I put my hands in my pockets and smiled slightly. And then? Mark looked me up and down, a look of disdain on his face. Ms. Miller wants a divorce. I froze for a few seconds, then turned back to Sarah Miller. Is that true? You really want a divorce? Sarah Miller raised an eyebrow flirtatiously and looked at me with disdain. Mark Jenkins is right. I've wanted a divorce for a long time, but I only dragged it out until now due to my father's pressure. It's perfect that all the business leaders are here today. They can be my witnesses. I, Sarah Miller, am divorcing you, this useless kept man. Hearing Sarah Miller's words, I suddenly understood. 3 years ago, when the Millers were still a small company, Arthur Miller, founder of Miller Corporation, came to me and said he wanted to marry his daughter to me. Before I could even refuse, he pulled out a marriage agreement. I looked at the writing on it, and it was indeed my father's signature. At that time, I was still young and didn't understand love at all, but to fulfill my father's dying wish, I gritted my teeth and agreed. But I didn't expect that on the day we were supposed to get the marriage license, Sarah Miller suddenly backed out, saying she would only agree to get the license and not have a wedding ceremony. After much thought, I agreed to her request, as feelings do indeed need time to grow. But who would have thought that after 3 years, not only hadn't feelings developed, but she was now forcing me to divorce her. Thinking of this, my anger surged within me. Sarah Miller, I'll ask you one last time, are you sure you want a divorce? Even if it means risking Miller Corporation, which you're so proud of? Before Sarah Miller could speak, Mark Jenkins on the side started egging him on again. Divorce him, you absolutely must. With Ms. Miller's current status and position, she can definitely find a man 100, even 1,000 times better than you. I glared at him furiously. Mark Jenkins, what business is it of yours? You're just Sarah Miller's assistant. Can you make decisions for her? As soon as I spoke, Sarah Miller instantly became enraged. That's enough. Stop talking. Liam Sterling, I can tell you clearly, I've never had any feelings for you from the beginning. To me and the Millers, you are nothing but a burden, completely insignificant. I sighed softly, my eyes showing a hint of disappointment. It seems you had already made up your mind, right? Sarah Miller frowned, looking at me with disgust. Yes. You're right, I never liked you. Not then, not now, not ever. As soon as she finished speaking, Mark Jenkins immediately led the applause, and the onlookers also showed their support for Sarah Miller's actions one after another. I swept a glance around with my peripheral vision, the corner of my mouth curling up slightly. In that case, so be it. Saying that, I gave Sarah Miller a meaningful look. I hope you won't regret this decision later. Hearing me agree to the divorce, Sarah Miller became exceptionally agitated. Liam Sterling, since you're willing to divorce me, that makes things easy. Tell me, do you want money or a house? I'll do my best to satisfy you. I waved my hand and looked at her coldly. No need for money. After all, the Millers are about to go bankrupt. Saying that, I suddenly changed the subject, and my tone became colder. Now, I only want to know one thing. Besides the factors we've discussed, is there any other reason you want a divorce? Or to put it more directly, who is behind everything that happened today? Knowing Sarah Miller, she's someone who cares a lot about appearances. If someone wasn't pulling strings behind the scenes, there's no way she'd bring up her family affairs in public. There must be something fishy going on. However, Sarah Miller's expression at that moment confirmed my suspicion. Her eyes started to dart away, and she wouldn't meet my gaze at all. Seeing this, Mark Jenkins quickly stepped forward. His name? You're not worthy of knowing it. But I can tell you, this person is from Capital City, a big shot you can never afford to offend. Only now did I realize that Mark Jenkins fanned the flames behind everything that happened today. No wonder he always liked to interrupt at crucial moments. It's just a shame for Sarah Miller, she didn't even know she was being used. Facing these people's repeated provocations, I didn't break ties with them, instead, I tolerated it again and again. After all, everyone present were prominent figures in the business world, and I didn't want to make things awkward for everyone. But constant concession only brought endless mockery. Enough! I swept a cold gaze around the room. I don't see the need for this business conference to continue today. Now I'll give all of you two choices. Either leave now, and I'll let you off the hook, or wait to go bankrupt with the Millers. As soon as I finished speaking, the surrounding business leaders exchanged amused glances. Kid, you're not old, but you sure have a big mouth, threatening us now. Do you believe that with just a word from us, there won't be a place for you in the entire Riverwood? I advise you to just leave obediently, otherwise no one will be able to save you later. Suppressing my anger, I spoke slowly. I used to keeping a low profile before, but today, I really want to make a statement. I said this as I slowly walked towards the podium. Anyone who stays today, count them all, Liam Sterling will take them all on. Looking at the provocative faces below the stage, a sense of disappointment welled up in me. Was this the business world of Riverwood? Only profits matter, factions collude, a corrupt mess. Mr. Lin, get down from there. Is that a place for you to be? Mark Jenkins stood in the crowd, shouting with raised arms, while I just smiled slightly. All right, that's enough. Your job is done. Hurry up and get the person behind you to come out. What kind of skill is it to keep taunting others from behind? Does he not even have the courage to face me directly? The moment I finished speaking, the next second, the main doors of the venue suddenly opened. A man about my age strutted in. You must be Liam Sterling, right? I've taken a liking to my wife. Name your price. Brandon, you're finally here. As Mark Jenkins exclaimed, everyone's eyes simultaneously turned to welcome the rich young man from the capital. Judging by this entrance, you must be the boss behind this summit today? The man raised an eyebrow flirtatiously and slowly walked towards me. You guessed right. This top-tier industry conference was organized by me. My name is Guming. You can call me Brandon, like they do. I almost burst out laughing. Brandon, are these good-for-nothings below the stage what you mean by a top-tier business conference? In my opinion, your summit isn't all that impressive. My words were like a slap in the face to everyone present. S.A. Riverwood businessmen love to save face the most. If Brandon hadn't stopped them, I probably would have been torn to shreds by now. Mr. Lin, I came today with sincerity. I hope you can show me some respect. Hearing his words, I was completely bewildered. Brandon, are people from the capital a bit slow in the head? Tell me, you're trying to steal my wife, how am I supposed to respect you? Brandon's face turned beet red from being rebutted by me. Mr. Lin, I originally wanted to discuss this properly with you, but you've provoked me repeatedly. Do you really think my Hayes family from Capital City would be afraid of you, Amir the husband living with the Miller family? His words directly amused me. Before coming to Riverwood, I had dealt with quite a few rich kids from Capital City. As for the Hayes family, I've never actually heard of them. Just as I was about to speak, Sarah Miller rushed into his arms right in front of me. Liam Sterling, I advise you to just get a divorce obediently, so we don't make things awkward for everyone later. I looked up at the two of them holding hands tightly and spoke coldly. Looking at this, you two have probably been seeing each other for a while, haven't you? No wonder after being married for so many years, Sarah Miller never let me touch her. Turns out she always had someone else in her heart. The moment I finished speaking, Sarah Miller's face instantly changed. Nonsense. Brandon and I have known each other since we were kids. We've always been in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. If my father forced me to marry you back then, I would never have married you. Hearing her words, I was completely stunned. When did Sarah Miller suddenly get another boyfriend? Why didn't Arthur Miller tell me back then? Did he lie to me back then? Although I hadn't figured out when these two got together yet, at least Sarah Miller was still my wife right now. This being cheated on. I couldn't just stand by and wear it. Sarah Miller, we aren't divorced yet, and you're openly hugging another man right in front of me. Do you still have any respect for me? As I spoke, I kept my eyes on her, but she wouldn't meet my gaze. Just then, Brandon pulled her into his arms, looking like a hero saving the damsel. Cheating or not cheating, aren't you just complaining about the lack of money? Name your price. I've got plenty of money. I looked at this clueless rich kid from Capital City like he was a circus clown. Brandon, don't say I didn't warn you. If Sarah Miller dares to divorce me today, within half an hour, both the Hayes family and the Millers will go bankrupt. As soon as I finished speaking, Sarah Miller stepped forward impatiently. Mr. Lin, stop trying to scare people here. Who do you think you are, saying you'll make us go bankrupt? Brandon can just lift a finger casually, and you'd be scared to death. If I wasn't still trying to figure things out, I would have slapped her a few times right then and there. Sarah Miller's words caused everyone to burst into laughter. Did you hear that? I said long ago, a kept man with no status, background, and financial power like him, his wife would leave him for someone else sooner or later. Exactly. Look at the clothes he's wearing. How did he even dare to attend the summit? That's right, in terms of status, background, and financial power, Brandon, the sole heir of the Hayes family from Capital City, is miles ahead of him. The people around kept sucking up to Brandon, yet not a single person stood up to speak for me. It seemed that in their eyes, I was just a circus clown for their amusement. But I wasn't in a hurry. The real show is just starting. In front of everyone, I pulled out my phone and called Arthur Miller. Hello, Arthur, right? I have a question I'd like to ask you. Is it true that your daughter has a boyfriend? On the other end of the phone, Arthur Miller was clearly stunned for a few seconds, then spoke cautiously. Mr. Lin, please let me explain. Sarah, before he could finish, I impatiently interrupted. I don't want to hear your explanation now. You just need to tell me, does she or does she not have a boyfriend? By the end, I was practically roaring. Mr. Lin, please calm down. This matter isn't what you think. Sarah was still young and naive back then, but I assure you, she had already broken up with him before she married you. Arthur Miller's words hit me like a ton of bricks. I never expected that I had been a placeholder for so many years. I even foolishly helped the Millers grow every step of the way. Anger kept rising within me. Finally, I roared into the phone, I'll give you 20 minutes. If you don't get here, I'll make sure the Millers never recover. After saying that, I hung up the phone directly and stared at the two people in front of me, my eyes bloodshot. Very good, very good. The Hayes family from Capital City, huh? I'd like to see what you can do to me today. The moment I finished speaking, I immediately rolled up my sleeves and landed a heavy punch on Brandon's face. This young master from Capital City, used to a life of luxury, had no time to react and was knocked to the ground right then and there. Seeing this scene, everyone present was utterly shocked. Holy crap, this kid is practically suicidal. He dared to hit the young master of the Hayes family. I know, right? If I were him, I would have just immediately gotten a divorce from Ms. Miller. Why bother resorting to violence? Dare to hurt someone from the Hayes family? Even if Jesus came today, he couldn't save him. As the whispers around grew louder, Sarah Miller finally reacted, realizing her boyfriend had been hit by me. She quickly helped Brandon up, then turned around and glared at me viciously. "Mr. Lin, you dared to lay a hand on Brandon? The Hayes family won't let you get away with this." I waved my hand dismissively. "Sarah Miller, you've got it backwards. It's not a question of whether the Hayes family will let me off, but whether I will let you off." The moment I finished speaking, Brandon immediately sobered up. He rubbed his jaw, then slowly raised his head, staring at me with bloodshot eyes. "You little punk, you dared to lay a hand on me? I'll have your life today." After saying that, he shouted loudly behind him, and instantly a group of men in black surged into the venue. "Get him! You must kill this man today." With Brandon's command, the group instantly rushed towards me. "Stop right there!" Just when they were less than a meter away from me, an urgent voice came from outside the door. Everyone turned around curiously, and a portly middle-aged man, sweating profusely, ran towards me. "Isn't that Arthur Miller, founder of Miller Corporation? Why is he here too?" Seeing this scene, Arthur Miller's face turned pale with fright. He ran up to me, panting, and bowed deeply. "Mr. Lin, how are you? Are you hurt?" I looked down at the time. "Exactly 20 minutes. Arthur, you came just in time. Your daughter's boyfriend was about to lay a hand on me. How you handle this will decide the fate of the Millers. You figure it out yourself." Arthur Miller's attitude was very sincere, and he immediately reacted. Just then, a smack was heard, and 5 red finger marks instantly appeared on Sarah Miller's face. "Idiot, do you have any idea what you've done? Hurry up and apologize to Mr. Lin." Sarah Miller was clearly stunned by the slap, looking at Arthur Miller blankly. "Dad, have you lost your mind? Why are you hitting me? Liam Sterling was clearly the one who hit Brandon first, yet you're punishing me for it." Seeing this scene, the anger in my heart subsided slightly. But this alone was far from enough. The Millers still owed me an explanation. Arthur Miller glared at his daughter, his face full of rage, and slapped her with the back of his hand again. "You still have the nerve to ask me why?" Mr. Lin naturally has his reasons for hitting him. "Even if the person he hit today was you, I would have no complaints." Saying that, he turned back to look at me, offered a forced smile, and then turned away again. "Today, I, Arthur Miller, declare here, anyone who dares to disrespect Mr. Lin is disrespecting the Millers." These words from Arthur Miller were like the last straw that broke Sarah Miller's back. On one side was the Hayes family from Capital City, and on the other was her own father. She didn't dare to offend either side. Just as she was in extreme conflict, Brandon stepped forward. He slowly walked in front of me, his eyes full of murderous intent. "Mr. Lin, I order you to apologize to me now, or I will use all my power to make your life a living hell." I curled my lip and smiled slightly at him. "Brandon, I think you're the one who should be apologizing." Brandon didn't waste words. He pulled out his phone directly and made several calls. Time passed minute by minute, and the luxury cars outside the venue piled up. If you looked closely, these cars all had one thing in common. Without exception, they all had special license plates from the capital. Even these so-called business leaders were dazzled. "Oh my God, did some incredibly important people come here today? So many luxury cars. Forget the cars, any single person from these cars is a big shot capable of holding their own in Riverwood. This summit tonight is truly remarkable." It even alerted people from the capital. I tuned out these comments. Arthur Miller, standing in front of me, was also silent at this moment. Because he knew someone was going to have a bad night tonight, and it wasn't just one person. One by one, big shots got out of their cars and headed straight for the venue. One of them, a slightly older middle-aged man, glanced at me from the corner of his eye and raised an eyebrow flirtatiously. "You're the one who just laid a hand on Brandon, right?" His tone held disdain, surprise, but mostly provocation. "That's right, it was me." The man hadn't expected me to be so defiant in front of so many rich young men from Capital City, and his expression instantly changed. All right, young man, you've got guts." Saying that, he glanced at Arthur Miller standing in front of me and snorted. "Your confidence doesn't come from him, does it? Arthur Miller, founder of Miller Corporation from Riverwood, I presume?" The fact that he could immediately state Arthur Miller's identity surprised me slightly, but it was just for a fraction of a second. His identity has nothing to do with me. I have no connection with the Millers, and I don't want any connection in the future either. My words were meant to convey two things. The first was to tell them I didn't need to rely on the Millers at all. And the second meaning was to tell the Millers that from now on, I am myself, no longer the husband living with the Miller family. My indifferent attitude quickly drew dissatisfaction from that group of rich kids. They were surely thinking I was just a young punk. How dare I act more arrogant than them? They were all rubbing their fists, eager to try, wanting to rush up and beat me up. But me, I just like to mess with rich kids like them when I have nothing else to do. The angrier they got, the more I wanted to challenge their limits. Hey, you must all be people Brandon called, right? All of you with your hair dyed like rebels, and wearing earrings. Are you even men? People like you? I could take on 10 of you with one hand. Don't believe me? You can try. Sure enough, the moment I finished speaking, these spoiled rich kids couldn't hold back anymore and charged at me. I couldn't even be bothered to dodge. I just slapped them back, smack, smack, smack. Except for the middle-aged man who spoke to me earlier, everyone's face now bore the mark of my slaps. And they didn't even touch my clothes. Kid, who exactly are you? Where does your confidence come from? His face was grim, his eyes fixed on me, yet he didn't dare to act. I casually grabbed a wet wipe and wiped my hands, speaking indifferently. You have the nerve to ask who I am? And you're people from Capital City? You don't even know me. Mid-sentence, I suddenly smiled at him. My name is Lynn of the Sterling name. The moment I finished speaking, someone in the crowd shouted, "Look! What's that?" Hearing this, everyone turned their heads. A black sedan with special license plates from the capital slowly drove into the venue. The middle-aged man turned back, his face full of surprise. You're someone from the capital elite. I smiled and nodded lightly. Congratulations, you guessed correctly. Saying that, I suddenly changed tone, and my gaze grew sharp. As a reward for guessing correctly, you should know better than me how to handle these people, shouldn't you? The middle-aged man subconsciously fell to his knees before me, his forehead covered in cold sweat. You are young Master Sterling. Robert Davis's words were like a heavy bomb, blowing through the entire room. No way, this kid actually has such a powerful identity. Why didn't he say so earlier? Yeah, if I had an identity as powerful as his, I could do whatever I want across the whole country. Oh crap, I almost forgot if you hadn't said anything. Didn't we just help Brandon curse at him? Not only these business leaders, but even those rich kids who came to stand up for Brandon were panicking now. Each of them was holding a phone and calling home, seeking help. As for Brandon himself, needless to say, he was completely paralyzed on the ground, his mouth gaping wide. You, young Master Sterling, this is a misunderstanding. My face still held a smile as I spoke. Oh, Brandon thinks this is a misunderstanding? You not only tried to steal my wife, but you also laid a hand on me. Which of these crimes can you bear the responsibility for? The moment I finished speaking, he was terrified right on the spot. Yes, it's a misunderstanding, absolutely a misunderstanding. I don't even know your wife, Sarah Miller. After saying that, he rushed directly towards Sarah Miller. Just then, 2 smacks were heard. Before Sarah Miller could even figure out what was happening, blood was already seeping from the corner of her mouth. She looked up, completely bewildered. Brandon, why are you hitting me? Hearing Sarah Miller still calling his name, Brandon raised his leg and kicked her. Stop King calling me. I don't know you well. We just played in the mud together as kids. The moment an older man in a tailored suit walked in, everyone in the room, except for me, was sweating profusely. Then, Mark Jenkins, the assistant who had been quiet for over an hour, fell to his knees before me. He had a yellow stain on his pants. Young Master Sterling, I was wrong. Didn't know who I was. Please, give me another chance. From now on, I'll serve you. Tell me who to bite, and I'll bite them. I pinched my nose and shook my head. Mark Jenkins, while I'm still in a good mood, get out of my sight. I find you disgusting, even to serve you. As soon as I finished speaking, Mark Jenkins scurried away shamefully. Sarah Miller was the last to realize what had happened. She burst into tears right on the spot. Husband, I was wrong. I just lost my head for a moment. I still love you deep down. Can we make up? Didn't you want a wedding ceremony? I will have someone arrange it immediately when I get back. She begged me while begging on her knees. It's too late. Whatever you say now is too late. From the moment you made me attend the summit, we were already over. Sarah Miller, the person you love was never me, nor was it Brandon Hayes. You love money, you love power, you love things that make you feel respectable. My words were like knives stabbing at her. Sarah Miller fell silent. Seeing this, Arthur Miller tried to persuade me to stay, but I glared back at him fiercely. A woman who cheated? Liam Street. Erling is not interested in. After tonight, the Riverwood business scene was completely reshuffled. Those bosses who mocked me along with the Millers were all removed from power. Years later, one day when I returned to Riverwood, the Miller family was no more.